Hey everyone, this isn't a video I was planning on doing at all. Like, it's nothing that and I happen to have laying around or anything. But I have a Google Nexus 5, which is like my daily phone, and I'm having a problem with it today. And I mean, it's been working fine the whole time since I've had it. But then today, it started doing something funky while I was in the middle of using it. It shut off on me, and it went back to showing the Google Splash screen. And then it just kept like repeatedly just showing the Google Splash screen. It would shut off or show the Google Splash screen. I thought there was something wrong with the, with the firmware or whatever. But it turns out it might not be the firmware. Right now I have the battery disconnected. That's the inside of the phone. But watch as I connect the battery and this little connector here. This is what it's been doing. It shows Google, and then that sits there for a couple seconds. And then it shuts off, and then it shows Google again, and then it turns off. If I were to plug in the charger, it'll turn on, and it'll just keep showing the Google Splash screen over and over and over again. But watch this, check this out. If I tap the phone, give it a couple seconds here. Okay, maybe not this time, but sometimes when I tap it, come on, it's making a fool out of me this time. But sometimes when I would tap it, just kind of tapping around, I could get it to turn on again. And it doesn't want to do it this time. Alright, well, let's see. There it goes. See? And again, it just kind of keeps repeating that cycle. I thought maybe it was something wrong with the battery, but the battery voltage seems just about right. See there, and then it kind of stops again. But if I'm to tap it again, it probably will do it again. There it goes. So it seems like something was loose, although I don't know exactly what. But poking around, I found something pretty interesting. It seems that if I tap around in this area right here, I'm more likely to be able to get it to turn on than if I tap anywhere else on the phone. Watch this. See, there it goes. And it'll just basically do the same thing over again. Well, there's not a whole lot of stuff in that particular area of the phone. But one thing that is right here that would have to do with powering on the phone is the power button. And I found I wasn't really paying any attention to this power button at all. I mean, it just, you push it, phone powers on, etc., etc. As if I push it right now, it's not really doing anything. I can hold it down, and yeah, it won't turn on. But see, if I tap it, I can get the phone to do that at least. But then after a few seconds, it'll just shut off again, and it'll do it over again. Yeah, so check out what I found. So this is the main board out of the phone. And as you can see, there's the main processor with its memory. Some other stuff right here, the SIM card slot, the proximity sensors, and I guess the light sensor and whatnot. Here is the power button. The ones on this side are the volume. Check this out. Okay, so I've got my multimeter. I'm going to set it here to continuity test. So if I touch the two pins back here on the back of the switch that I believe are the ones for that are supposed to make contact when you push this button down, I'm getting really low resistance here. Watch as I push the button in. Hold on, there we go. Okay, this is a little hard to do at an angle. I'm trying to make sure that I don't touch anything besides those two little points. Okay, so about 4 ohms. Push the button in, and it drops down to practically nothing. I really don't think this is supposed to be reading that low when it's not being pushed in. So I don't know if there's something wrong with this button, but what I actually did is I was messing around with it. I was tapping around in that area, and I got the phone to fully boot. So, and then it shut off again, you know, like as if you had kept the button pressed or something. So I have a feeling, and I could be wrong here, that there's something wrong with the power button, and it's basically almost like it's shorted somehow. I don't know, maybe the little membrane in there or something has gotten stuck or something. I mean, it clicks, but I really don't know. So I'm going to remove it, and I'll manually jump those 2 pins and see if I can get the phone to fully boot. So that's a bit of a better close-up of that button there, and those 2 contacts on the bottom, on the left and the right, are what I believe are the main contacts. And then that shield all the way around it appears to just be a ground. So I've already put a little bit of flux on there, and I'm going to try to remove it using some Chip Quick. I don't want to use hot air because I don't want to damage anything else around here or risk loosening up some of these other tiny components. So I'll try the Chip Quick and then see if I can get that off there. So I've got it pretty much ready here. I'm just going to leave that there. And I've got a really fine tip soldering iron here. And I'm going to try to melt some of this Chip Quick onto the back. Oh boy, I didn't want to get it stuck on that metal. Ah, dang it. Okay, there it goes. So I'm going to try to heat up the back, and hopefully heating up that metal will also kind of help loosen it up here and on the sides. Okay, there it goes. It's starting to pop out. I got most of that side off. I just need to get this side off here. Come on. Okay, there it goes. Alright, so the switch is off. I'm going to try to clean this off as best as I can here. So, there's all the contacts. Maybe I'll use a little bit of copper braid and try to clean that up. There's the back of the button there. I tried to clean it off as best as I could and get all the solder off, and I think it should be okay. I'm going to test the resistance on those again and see what they are. Here is the board. I've already kind of gave the contacts a good cleaning. We can see right here that this pin went directly to ground, as well as all these other ones. Then this one right here is the one that goes to, you know, whatever it is that controls the power on function. So it's basically grounding this pin to that pin. And so we're going to check the resistance on this also and see what it measures now, and see if removing this button had any effect at all. Alright, so I've got the multimeter off camera here, but I'm going to touch these and I'll tell you what it says on the screen. And it's reading like it's open. It's not, yeah, there's no continuity whatsoever. And just so we make sure that the continuity is working, I'm touching the 2 leads here. So there's no continuity whatsoever between these 2 pins. So it looks like that button, for whatever reason, was shorting those 2 contacts right there. So there's the button itself. Let's test the continuity between those 2 pins there. This is going to be really difficult because of how tiny it is, but it looks like I should be able to get it from bottom here. And it's reading, yeah, it's reading very low resistance there. It's reading just under 3 ohms. So it appears that for whatever reason, this button decided to short itself. Ain't that a kick? So let's power up the phone again and see if it works without the button in place. Alright, I'm going to do this live here just so that you can see that I'm not trying to pull a fast one on you. So here's the board again. As you can see, button gone. So the only 2 connections that I'm going to make are the big long one here, the one that goes to the LCD, and everything else on the bottom here, and the battery. That's the only things I'm going to connect. I'm not going to connect the 2 cameras, which are these 2 right here, and I'm not going to bother popping it into place. So let's connect this big long one here. Alright, that's in place. And now I'm going to connect the battery, but before I do that, I'm going to flip it over so we can, well, I mean, not before I do that, but I'm going to try to flip it over here at the same time so that we can see if it turns on by itself again, as it was doing the first time around when I showed you. I plugged in the battery and the phone turned on. Alright, so it's connected. And yeah, that is connected. It's not turning on. Interesting. Okay, so now let's jump those two contacts and see if we can get the phone to turn on. I'm going to put a little heatsink on the processor here though. Actually, that chip that you see on top, I believe, is the RAM. The actual CPU is underneath that. So the heatsink there. I'm going to use my little tweezers here, and I'm going to jump ground to that pin right there. And there it goes. Okay, now it's on. Now let's see if it'll boot completely. And there's the boot animation. We weren't getting that before. So it seems like it was that one little power button is causing so many issues. I mean, I didn't want to have to send my phone in because I got a lot of stuff on there that I wanted to save. So technically, I guess it was still under warranty. I haven't had it that long. And, well, we just voided the warranty. So, oh well. But it's booting. It should be on here for probably no more than about a minute or so. And there it goes. I was not getting that far before. And I don't know why it's optimizing apps, but okay. Alright, so it's been working on it for a few minutes, but it looks like it's just about done here. So now it should just go to the desktop. And there it is. It's working again. So why this little button failed, I have no idea. But hey, oh crap, I just dropped it. Anyways, I don't know. Maybe we can open it up and maybe we can fix it. I don't know. We'll find out. And great, now I don't have a power button to turn it back on. So yeah, I'm gonna need to have something on there. All right, let's see if we can fix this button, or at least figure out what the heck went wrong with it. All right, there's a close-up of the back of the button again. It's got this little seam here where it looks like we can just kind of pop it open. So this should just be able to just bend these out. And there's one. Let's get this other side here. I'm trying not to cut myself. And I'm trying to do this on looking at the screen on the camera. It's actually kind of working out not so bad. So, all right. So there's that side. So that's what we got there. Let's see. This looks like it just comes out of this shell. A little microsurgery here. Alright, so there's the button itself. That's the back of it. Alright, so looking at it off camera, it appears that this white stuff that they put on here is just like some sort of solder mask or something. That right there is what's soldered to ground. Let's see if we can get this to come open, because it's in the several pieces here. Let's see if this pops apart. I'm not sure if it will, but hopefully it does. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it might not be repairable. Oh, there it goes. And it kind of flew off. But I got it to split open. So there it is. Alright, let's see what's in there. So, oh, okay, it looks like it was maybe just some sort of double-sided adhesive there that was keeping it together. Looks like that's the little snap. And there is the switch itself, apparently. Don't see anything wrong right off the bat. You can hear that this clicks. And okay, another piece just came off there, so it looks like it's got two of these layered together. I don't know if it's supposed to have two. Usually a lot of these switches only have like one of these little snaps in place, so I don't know if this one, I'm sorry, I'm trying to do this while looking at it, but see, a lot of these switches that I've seen we'll only have one of these little snaps that makes contact against from one point to the other when you click it in. But this one appears to have two. So I don't know if that's a manufacturing defect or if it really is supposed to have two. So I'm wondering if maybe if we put it back together but only use one of these, if it'll work the way it's supposed to. Alright, it was pretty difficult, but I managed to get it to stick back together again. And as you can see, here's the other one that I took off. So it looks like it's, dang it. I got it kind of lined up here with the tweezers now, and if I push on the button here, I can feel it kind of clicking, although it's not as great as it was when, you know, when it was when I had both of these in there. And I don't know, maybe if I just take everything apart and give it a cleaning, maybe it'll work the way it's supposed to again. Here's a little bit of a telltale sign. If you look at the center of that, this is the back of that button, it looks like there's a little bit of corrosion or something in there. So I gave these a good cleaning here with some deoxid. I'm hoping that takes care of the issue, and I'll go ahead and put it back together the way it was with both of these in place, and then we'll give it a shot again and check the resistance. Actually, it looks like stuff is still scrubbing off, as you can see if I kind of scratch on it. But I don't know, maybe that's whatever plating's on the metal there. But I'm gonna clean these off, and then I'll try to put it back together, and we'll test it again and see what kind of resistance values we're getting there. Holy crap, that was a pain to reassemble. I think it took me more than 30 minutes just to get this thing back together. And I put both of the plates back in there because I believe it needs them. It feels a lot better with both of them in place. So now that it's in place, I'm going to check resistance again between those two contacts there. And hopefully now there should be nothing. It should just be being completely open. And let's see what we get here. So yeah, seems like it's okay now. Yeah. Okay, that's just the grounds there I was touching. But yeah, it appears to be okay. If I push the button in, it's really difficult to do this. So there it is. When I push in on it, click, click, click. It's working the way it should now. So now comes the fun part, trying to get that back on the phone. On the board, there's two holes right here where the button goes, and the button itself has a couple pins right there on the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to position it so that the two pins rest inside of those holes, and I'm going to try to solder those in first. So I'm going to go from the side here with the soldering iron and try to get it to solder into both of those sides into those holes, because the back side, everything's completely flat and I have it upside down. So those two pins will rest in those holes. Right now it doesn't sit down all the way properly because the holes still have a little bit of solder in them, but I'm going to come in with the soldering iron and touch that corner there and hope that it melts the solder and it sticks it in place. And then I'll do the same with the other side, and once those two sides are in place, then I'll go ahead and try to tackle the back. Okay, so those two front pins are on. Not the prettiest job ever, but it looks like it'll hold. So now I'll try to deal with the ones in the back there, and those two on the bottom left and right are the ones that are going to be a pain. So I'll see if I can do it. Hopefully I don't get any, well, I mean, I guess I'll be able to check and see if they're making contact against any of the other grounds, but I think as long as I get the one on the left by itself, it should be fine, because the one on the right over here, the one that pin right there, that one goes directly to ground, so it doesn't matter if it's shorting against any of the other ones, it should be fine. That one right there on the left is the one that I want to make sure I get all by itself. Well, it was a pain, but it looks like I got it there. So again, let's check continuity there and see what we're getting. I guess I can just touch one of the leads to the ground here, and touch the other one there to positive, or to that contact there, And let's push on the button. Bingo! It's working as it should. So looks like I'll be fine now. Go ahead and put the phone partially back together. I just won't put the cover on and we'll give it another go. Alright, I put the board back in place. Everything but the battery is connected. The button feels the way that it used to, so I'm pretty happy with that. So let's connect the battery here. And once I connect the battery, it shouldn't turn on the way it was doing. So there's a battery. And so far so good. So now when I hold down the button here for a second or so, it should come on. And there it is. And let's give it a bit here and see if it'll boot. And there's the animation, and that's what I expected, so looks like we should be good now. There it goes, and home screen. So it's working fine now, so I'm pretty happy with that because I didn't want to have to get another phone here. I really no position to buy a new phone right at the moment, so I'm happy that worked. And I can put it all back together now. I got to put the covers back on and put the back cover on, and it should be good. So thanks for watching my little emergency repair here. And if you like this kind of stuff, be sure to thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like updates on any of my videos, and once again, thanks for watching. Before we end this video, the annotation I put earlier in the video about making sure that you clean off the chip quick, as well as possible, it's because if you don't, then whatever's left on the board will, combine with the rest of the solder, and it will actually make it very brittle, and it can just lead to having issues later on. What happened was the phone was working fine from, the time I fixed it on Tuesday until about sometime Thursday morning when it stopped working again, and it wasn't doing the whole reset thing. It was actually just I couldn't turn the phone on at one point. Unless, like I got a phone call and then, the screen would come on and, I was able to do stuff. But once it turned off again, then I couldn't do anything until I was able to finally fix the button a little bit later on Thursday morning. So basically what happens is the chip quick, combines with the solder on there, makes it very brittle, and then the connection can be kind of iffy, and it's prone to breaking easily. The button, the contacts, actually came off the board. They didn't pull the traces up with them. The solder cracked, and so I wasn't getting a good contact anymore. So I could still kind of push the button. I could feel it click a little bit, but it just wasn't turning the phone on because the contact between the switch and the board just wasn't there. So something to keep in mind. A good thing to do would be to just kind of flood the area with the solder you're going to be using in the end and clean it all off. I ended up having to rework this. But now it's working fine. It's actually Saturday night, April 18th. And it's been working fine since I fixed it. And it's not like I was mashing the button or anything. It was just from regular use, and the solder just couldn't hold up. It was just too brittle. So make sure you're going to use chip quick, clean off the area properly, and add a little bit of the solder you're going to end up using in the end, and clean it off, making sure everything's so that you get a good solid connection. So again, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.